the Commonwealth Bank issued the loan deferrals, issued the loans earlier than the federal government made the rules for the loan scheme. But you also see National Australia Bank, I think their numbers today are almost 300 million. Every business and every bank has a different size lending book, and different businesses need more help than others. But what you're seeing is enormous amounts of money going out the door, and every single one of those dollars has to be taken by someone on a call centre, has to be processed by somebody in the credit assessment team and got out the door as quickly as possible. Banks want to do this fast, but they've also got to do it responsibly and prudently. But they have stood shoulder to shoulder with their customers. That's evidenced by the amount of deferrals they've put out already, more than 500,000 Australians. That's an extraordinary number in just a couple of weeks. What this thing is doing is testing everybody's systems. Banks have been very clear from the outset that their systems are not geared for this, and they're gearing up and ramping up, and these hotlines that are now open today is more evidence of that. Right now, the economy needs banks. It needs banks to getting cash and cash flow into that economy, and it needs them to be taking the weight off the shoulders of their customers, and that's what they're doing with the deferrals.
Home Affairs Minister Peter Dutton has said that the banks deserve to be publicly shamed over this. Do you think that's going too far?
In my experience, in the middle of crises, things can get a little hot sometimes. But what's really important here, what's really important is that customers get what they need when they need it. Right now, we've got ordinary Australians staffing the front line of our call centres. They are working frantically. They're going to work every day. They're not working from home. They're going into work every day to look after their customers. I take my hat off to all of those people. In one case, one bank recently took more calls in 1 week than they normally take in a year. That's an extraordinary avalanche of need and despair in the community. And those bank staff, as I said, they're ordinary Australians going out there to help their customers every day. I regard them as essential workers for the economy. That's the responsibility they see themselves having, and they are doing everything they can to help those customers. Customers can get more help as of today in relation to the Jobkeeper payments that they might need some bridging money for, and that's by calling the hotlines that have now been made public, and I think you're showing them on your screen. So I encourage anyone who might be worried about whether they can pay their staff in order to qualify for Jobkeeper to do what they can to get onto those hotlines, and banks will do everything they can to continue to ramp up efforts. They have been ramping up the efforts every single day since the beginning of this crisis. Those 500,000 Australians who have had their loans deferred, I think will be very grateful to have the weight of that off their shoulders. We need to work together across corporate, government and community to collectively get through this together. Banks have from day one said, we're in this for our customers and we are in it together, and they're going to keep that as their motto.
We can show those hotline numbers in just a moment, but I did want to ask you just finally, do you think this criticism from the Prime Minister was fair? Have you not stepped up to the mark this week on responding to bridging finance?
I think that banks have done an enormous effort to step up to the expectations of the Australian community. As I've said, I think the numbers speak for themselves. 500,000 Australians with their loans deferred. It's an unprecedented and extraordinary effort. And I take my hat off to the ordinary mums and dads and men and women who are on the front line of our banks, delivering that kind of relief and delivering loans when customers need them. But it's clear that we're up against some really tight deadlines now. These deadlines have been set by the federal government, and banks are absolutely determined to help their customers meet them. When you're racing against the clock, what we've seen is every system, whether it's in corporate Australia, in government, in the community sector, in the retail sector, every system is being tested by COVID-19. And yes, bank systems are being tested. But banks stand ready to continue to help their customers, to ramp up every effort needed to make sure customers get what they need when they need it.